veins. And, okay, so you can see it pretty well. All right, so the superior vena cava is on the top of the heart, right? Coming off the top of the heart. The inferior vena cava goes below the heart, okay? So you can see the inferior vena cava coming down, and it's going to enter through the diaphragm and go, and this is what we're going to follow, okay? The inferior vena cava is going to travel and be parallel with the spinal cord. Same thing with the abdominal aorta, okay? Let's do the veins first. Actually, I need... Can someone bring me that diagram from that table real fast? Sorry. Yeah, that one. Sorry, guys. Take a pause. All right. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to use this cat because it shows the bottom ones a little bit better. All right. So, inferior vena cava is going to be parallel with the spinal cord. Okay, so inferior vena cava. Right here, these two bean-shaped organs on the sides, those are the kidneys. Branching off and going to the kidney, this is going to be the left, because remember left, this is right. This will be the left renal vein, okay? And there's also a right one. So if it's headed to the kidney, it's going to be the renal vein, and then you tell me whether it's left or right, okay? So this is a renal vein following all the way down. This is where it gets kind of tricky, and like actually the arteries kind of flip and go on top, which is weird. But what's going to happen is you're going to have these veins, and they're going to branch off into the iliacs, okay, the iliac veins. And they're called iliac because it pertains to the region of the pelvis. You remember how you have ilium, ischium, and pubis? So that's where the iliac comes from, because it's around that portion of the of your pubic bones, okay? So yeah, it's kind of hard to see where they initially branch, but you can see that there are two main blue branches coming off, right? Okay, so when the inferior vena cava initially branches, it's going to branch into the left and right common iliacs, okay? So left and right common iliacs. And this one is kind of hard. You might have to take turns with your camera. So I'm going to follow the left side. It's the same thing on the right, though. Here's the left common iliac, and do you see how there's a blue vessel that branches and goes deep down and in? That's going to be the left internal iliac, okay? And the portion that continues on and up into the leg would be the external iliac, okay? So it's common iliac until it branches off, and then when it goes deep down, that's the internal because it's more internal, and the one that continues on into the leg is the external, okay? Okay, so does that make sense? So it's common, and then it branches. The one that goes deep inside is internal. The one that continues on is external, okay? And then you make sure you tell me left or right. It's the same on each side, okay? So this is the left common iliac. It branches into the one that goes down, which is the left internal iliac, and the one that continues on, which is the left external iliac. Okay, on this one, you can see it a little bit better. This one hasn't been cut away with the legs. When the left, or the left and right, when the external iliac enters into the leg, it's now called the femoral, okay? So this would be the left femoral vein, okay? So once it enters into the leg, it's now femoral. All right, so let's do the arteries now. So remember the aortic arch on the top? All right, so we have the branches like the brachiocephalic and the left subclavian that comes off to the top and is in the thoracic cavity. But the aortic arch will wrap around. The part that's behind the heart would be the thoracic aorta. And once it gets down into the abdominal cavity, it's going to be the abdominal aorta. Okay, so this following along where the spinal cord is the abdominal aorta. You can see it over here too, abdominal aorta, this main pink vessel in parallel with the inferior vena cava and the spinal cord. Okay. I like this cat because it shows the top branches a little bit better. All right, so everything's going to branch off the abdominal aorta. This very top artery, does everyone see it? Very top artery is the celiac trunk. It's going to go to the stomach, celiac pertaining to the stomach, okay? So it's going to supply blood to the stomach. This second one, right below the celiac, is going to be the superior mesenteric, okay? Mesentery is all of this connective tissue stuff that's holding all of the intestines together. So the superior mesenteric, since it's above superior, it's going to supply blood to the small intestines, okay? Down here, you can see it's been cut away because we cut this large intestine off. This artery right here that's been cut away, and you can see it right here. Okay, so this lower branch of the abdominal aorta that you can clearly see is going to the large intestine, this is the inferior mesenteric artery. And it's going to supply blood to the large intestine, okay? Let's see. Oh, also arteries, same thing. There's a renal artery. There's a left and right, one that goes to each kidney. So if it's red and it's going to the kidneys, it's going to be the renal artery. And then you tell me left or right, okay? And don't worry about the adrenolumbars. All of these cats, they've been kind of cut away and they're hard, but I'll tell you about it, but you don't have to identify it. The adrenolumbar artery and vein are the arteries and veins that are going to go to and from the adrenal glands. That's why it's called adrenolumbar. Okay, so it's going to supply blood to the adrenal glands. So normally you would see it coming off the abdominal aorta or the inferior vena cava and going to the top of the kidney because that's where the adrenal glands are, but they've been cut away so you can't really see them. So don't worry about that. Just worry about the ones that I went through with you through the cat. All right, so the arteries. So the abdominal aorta, when it gets down, it does the same thing like the inferior vena cava, and you have this splitting, okay? All right, you see how there's like two sets of V's? Like an outer and an inner? All right, so when the abdominal aorta splits, and we're talking about this outer V, it's going to be the left external iliac artery or the right external iliac artery, okay? Does everyone see how the inner V has this little connector piece? This connector piece is what we call the internal iliac, okay? The internal iliac then branches into the left internal iliac and the right internal iliac arteries, okay? Same thing when we talked about the external iliac that went to, once it gets into the leg and it became the femoral vein, same thing with the arteries. Once the external iliac artery reaches the leg, it's now the femoral artery, and then left or right, okay? So this would be the left femoral artery, left external iliac, back to the abdominal aorta, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, cool. All right, that's it.